the way that the algorithm works is it's only going to keep rewarding you if you keep producing new content. The problem is the fact that we let the algorithm make these choices for us means everybody's sitting there looking at their Apple TV or whatever, or even on their laptop, letting the algorithm recommend what to watch next. And what the algorithm is doing, because of the financial incentives of Google and YouTube, the algorithm is offering them new content. Like, that's what it's promoting, new. And that's to juice the creators into continuing to create, right? So if you passively watch YouTube, you're participating in this system that exploits, or doesn't exploit, but it favors new videos, even if they're worse than the existing stuff that is sitting there, and you can just as easily watch it. So if you take an active relationship with YouTube and really search it for the best quality content for what you're looking for, that's really the question that everybody has to answer for themselves. Because, like, does it offer you, how much does the algorithm, if you're actually looking for, Jesus, if you're looking for specific content and through search, how much does it still favor new content? Because the favoring of new content is not a good thing for quality, because everybody can just sit there and go like, oh, what can I do that's like really shitty, but because the algorithm's helping me, it won't matter. I'll produce some really shitty content, the algorithm will kick in, it'll recommend it, I'll get the views. The whole thing of like it not going into, it's not going to be valuable anyway after a week after I launch it, because the algorithm's never going to care about it again. So everybody's just trying to figure out ways to quickly produce crap that'll go viral for a week, and then once the algorithm's done pumping it, it's over, and then you produce some more crap. Now I don't so then, like, the question is, if you produce things that are really, really excellent, how much does the syndication type thing actually benefit you? The fact that the algorithm will keep recommending it for years and years and years because it's so good. And I don't know, but that's something that Google can tweak, or YouTube can tweak. And it seems to me that that's a really simple way to, like, help creators and also help society by just favoring this higher quality stuff. Now, the other problem, though, is algorithmically figuring out what's high quality is tough, because just because something gets a lot of views doesn't necessarily mean it's high quality. So that's where AI kicks in, and then that's where the biases of AI become incredibly worrisome, and that, not that the bias is AI having a bias, but AI is still just algorithms that are that have human intervention, and the human intervention is, I'm gonna drive a little bit here. You know, the human intervention gets to decide what's valid and what's not valid. And you can already see the best predictor of what's going to happen in terms of human manipulation of algorithmic results. You can see it in the fact checking on Google, which is like, that's where there's direct human intervention, right? Like it's not even, maybe the algorithm is doing some of that, but there are sources that are supposedly fact-checking sources, and it feels edited when you look at the fact-checking, but eventually that'll all be automated. It'll be automated, but it'll be automated to achieve the same kind of biases. So you see political bias in the fact-checking, you see factual bias, you see facts that are just completely incorrect. things presented as facts that are the opposite of the facts, particularly with respect to coronavirus and origins of the virus and that kind of thing. Shit. Okay, I think we're almost there. So I'm going to change. So now we're entering this zone, which is this watch making zone. There's a thing down there called L'Atelier, and it has a big phone number in the window. And that's probably like a place where people with smaller needs can rent spaces. There's another one that's called Espace Tourbillon at Piaget, just past there. This Espace Tourbillon is where the Brocante, which is the thrift store, is located. So I'll tell you what I bought at the thrift store in a minute. It's actually this magazine. But basically, I wanted to do a follow-up on the Geneva Watch Days. The Watch Days is in that hotel, the Beau Rivage. And it's in this tent right here, which is this event that took place probably almost been a month ago now. And what I observed, because I'm in Geneva, is a little bit different than people who are just in the internet YouTube space. So I think that there's something interesting here. So at Geneva Watch Days, the master of ceremonies for both of the things that I went to, which were industry panels, that were like hour long each. The master of ceremonies was this guy named Wei Ko, Weikoh. He's a Singaporean. He's probably 45 years old or something like that. He founded this magazine revolution, I think in like 2005 or so. This edition, or this volume, is from 2011, and it's still going as a print publication, but it's also a website and a YouTube channel. And I'm not promoting that, but I wanted to talk about it because I had an interesting conversation a week or two later. I had met somebody at EPHJ, a watchmaker who's from an old watchmaking family in Geneva. And he was at the EPHJ, which is this exposition of watchmaking tools and technology. And his company does watch parts in Asia and imports them into the U.S., I think, or not the U.S., into Switzerland. But anyway, we were talking about the Geneva Watch Days because we had met at EPHJ, then we followed up, we got together, we started talking. And we started talking about social media and the importance of it. And then he said the most important person in the watchmaking industry today is, and I filled in the blank and I said Wei Ko. And he nodded his head. And I could tell that from going to the Geneva Watch Days thing. So that's why I wanted to share a bit of that experience with you. So the first day that I went, and I taped the beginning of this, but this is a videotape that was properly made and sponsored by Revolution, apparently. It was about the Bulgari Octo Finissimo, which is an 8-year-old watch that was 1.5 millimeters thick or 2.5 millimeters thick. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's a thin watch. I don't have any affection or affinity or anything with Bulgari. Frankly, that watch looks ugly to me, but it doesn't mean it's not a great watch. I don't know if it is or not. But anyway, Wei Ko, first time I ever saw him, he was introducing Bulgari. So I'll just play a bit of this so you get a vibe of what he's about.
It gets better with time. It is a watch that has defined the era and to me is the most important integrated bracelet watch created of the modern times. And I want to introduce you to the people that created this incredible watch. Arrayed here, first of all, Jean-Christophe Babin, legendary CEO of Bulgari. How are you, sir? Next, my friend, Fabrizio Bonamassa Stigliani. What is the nickname? Mano del Dios, the hands of God. This was given to him by Aro Montanari. The wonderful, dynamic Antoine Pan. How are you, sir? Lovely to see you. And then let's talk about...
Okay, so the point is, he came out and did that introduction, and I was like, man, this guy is like so into hype and hyperbole, and I wasn't into the Bulgari brand or watch, so I was just like basically tuned it out.
Surprisingly, there was no accessory of a watch fitting with that new style. So to rethink and reinvent.
And I kind of went negative on it, but then I came home and I started going through other videos that Waco had done, interviews and things in conjunction with this watch days, and then I started realizing he's doing it over and over again.
Evolution here with my man Harris from MB&F.
How are you, Wade?
Sir?
Very good, very good. How are you?
Incidentally, if you guys have never met Harris, he's just one of the coolest dudes in this industry. I absolutely love him.
Don't believe him. He's exaggerating.
It's true, it's true. And I'm not just saying this because it's first meeting of the morning, the second day of Geneva Watch Days, we're both wearing sunglasses because we're on the terrace of the beautiful Beau Rivage on the presidential suite.
We turned on the water fountain for you guys.
Thank you, sir. But we're here to discuss a really cool watch, and that is the new version of the Split Escapement in titanium in an Evo case. But before we go into that, let's talk about the watch that kind of inspired the Split Escapement.
Yes, absolutely.
Harris, take it away, sir.
The Perpetual Calendar. The LM Perpetual are designed by the one and only Stephen McDonald.
Okay, so then there's another thing which I want to mention. So he's hyping everything. Sorry, it probably still seems negative. I want to tell you how this altered my thinking, though. When I saw Waco the first time and he was so full of hyperbole, it was kind of a turnoff. Like, that's a bunch of marketing speech. Then I started seeing he does that with everybody, and you might think, well, first of all, that was obvious from the Bulgari thing, but then you might think that would even prove what I was thinking negatively about him, but actually ended up having the inverse effect, because I realized that he's a hyper enthusiast. Like, he's not just somebody who doesn't know something talking to these people. He's somebody who actually knows the watch industry really, really, really well. That became apparent to me. I've only been talking for a few minutes here, and I showed you a few clips, so it may not be apparent to you. But it became apparent to me after watching these full-length videos and the things at the watch days. He's an enthusiast who really knows the watch industry, and he's really enthusiastic about it. And to him, everything is deserving of the kind of hyperbole that he applies to it. And it reminded me of, I think people know, I've spent my career basically in film production, filmmaking related work. And the biggest influence on me when I was in university was a university professor named Bruce Kaywin, who was a great professor. He's still my friend. And when I took film studies courses with him, on the first day we came in, he said, I'm going to show you the best film ever made. And then he showed a film, I think it was D.W. Griffith's Birth of a Nation or something like that. And then class dismissed. We came back the next day. He said, today I'm going to show you the greatest film ever made. And he was also, each time he was like so enthusiastic about it, like telling who the cinematographer was, everybody who was involved in it, the history of it, introducing it, best film ever made. And we're like, wait, we thought we saw the best film ever made last time. But anyway, this went on day after day and week after week. And it turned out that was his whole relationship with film, was he just loved film, and he effused about every film and how great it was. And he had no problem with the fact that, as if he didn't perceive it as like a competition amongst great films. They were all great. So I started seeing that same enthusiasm and deep knowledge in Waco, and I realized that when you're that enthusiastic and you know that much about an industry, it becomes infectious, and that's a good thing for the industry. And it's not BS. It's not like, I've worked in advertising my whole life also, and a lot of advertising is just fake. It's people reading a script. When you have somebody who's truly enthusiastic like Waco, it's legit, and it's cool. So I I changed my view on him.
So for me, the greatest watch, Richard Mille watch, but it's not just the greatest Richard Mille watch, the greatest watch of the modern era is the RM009. And this is a watch that was made of Alusic, a material that he had to use aluminum and silicon spun in a centrifuge, if you can imagine. Who was going to do that?
Fuel headache.
And only the part in the center is actually bonded at a molecular level in the correct way. He cut it out.
I agree with you.
Cut it out to make a case which was indestructible, then used for the first time an aluminum lithium movement inside of that, and made a watch that I think was just over 30 grams. This is the predecessor to the 27. And I put it on for the first time, I wanted to cry. I couldn't believe it. And to this day, my ambition before I die is to find a vintage piece of this, because they're no longer produced, and purchase it, and then I can die happy.
But he's still young.
Yes, yeah. Or you're gonna make one for him.
He deserves
For your
everything.
favorite.
No. Okay, so I'm going to leave you.
Okay, so anyway, I love that interaction. It humanizes those two people, and also the Swiss are traditionally not like that. They're very reserved, so they need someone like that to come out and bring that to them, or give that to them, or bring that to the industry. That kind of unreserved enthusiasm.
I think everyone who knows you also really admires the humility with which you conduct yourself. Why is that important to you?
I almost forgot about that story. I mean, humility, I don't know, it would describe me as a whole. Certainly not. But it's just, we are fortunate enough to be all of us here, to be in a position where we have access to things that from a very early age that other people don't necessarily have. And we need to take that opportunity as much as we can and make something good out of it, Obviously, we're not making nuclear weapons here, so we're all talking about something that is very, passion forward, and everybody here is very passionate about what they're doing. And the goal at the end of the day is really to make some amazing product, amazing stuff. Really focus on the craftsmanship side of things, and try to value everybody that works for whatever it is in the process to make that product happen in the end. Whether it be distribution, whether it be even just finishing the movement, or just all the different steps that end up making a watch. You need to value all these steps differently, and really put them forward as much as possible.
Thank you very much, sir.
So the thing about that was that it struck me because I was sitting there. It struck me that he said we're not making nuclear weapons, because it also reminded me that, like, when you talk about these enormous amounts of money, his own father being the richest person in the world, and I kind of did a little bit of a deep dive into Bernard Arnault's fortune, and if he had investments or money tied up in weapons or other companies other than these kind of luxury brands. And I don't see any evidence of that. I could be wrong. It could be something that Wikipedia doesn't pick up on. But I think I was aware of Bernard Arnault's success when he was topping the richest person in the world charts. And I thought about it a lot because France is, which is where they're from, is a high tax, arguably semi-socialist country. Its healthcare is they have universal healthcare for all their citizens, and a lot of things that, and also incredible history of workers' rights and just kind of civic engagement and democracy, I think. So to achieve that status of richest person in the world in a country like that, and just selling luxury goods, I think it's interesting, and it interested me because the Americans that he's competing with, aside from perhaps Elon Musk, but Bezos, Gates, and the Google guys. Anyway, they're and Apple to some extent, although Apple hasn't produced the billionaires that, because of Jobs' death probably, and his weird relationship with the stock of Apple. But another one is Zuckerberg, obviously. Anyway, the American billionaires are all running monopolies, and they're all linked to the military-industrial complex, either through contracts or spy contracts or surveillance, military contracts, all this other crap. And I think it's impressive that a French person in that in that system made that much money. And I think it's interesting in the context of luxury goods and watches, and my whole conflict with like, is there any rationale or is it unethical that watches and luxury goods sell for so much money? And I'm not going to answer that. I think that's a personal opinion that people can individually have. But what fascinates me is that in the end, you do need a thriving industry. You need a lot of money for research and development. You need people. You need expensive products out there. Like the car market is kind of similar to that in terms of, do we really need $100,000, $200,000 cars or $1 million cars? But a lot of those car companies are super interesting and innovative, and yeah, I don't have an answer to it, but I love those cars and I love some of these watches. Okay, so I think that's probably more information than anybody cared to have, but that's my video for the day.